Hello and welcome to Gangs All Here. My name is Ryan Sampson, the host and producer of the show. That's my guy, Frankie Vidarini from U Stadium. Today is Thursday, January 22nd. The New York Jets are debating on what they're going to do at number 2, and we're going to debate what they're going to do at number 2. Now that Dante Moore is going back into the college football world, there's a lot of debate about David Bailey, Bain, Arvell, Reese. We'll discuss those options for the Jets. Plus, we'll talk about Mel Kiper mocking Ty Simpson to 16 for the Jets. Is he worth the pick, Frankie?
Well, listen, he might be worth the pick. I have a comp for you later on. I'm going to give you the comp on Ty Simpson, what his ceiling could be. So I'm waiting to do this, and this is going to be kind of explosive right there.
Well, look, and then we'll also get into the defensive coordinator candidates that the Jets are currently interviewing. Kaz will give us the early favorite for the job and much more on today's episode of Gangs All Here. Of course, we're going to be joined by our Jets beat writer, Brian Costello, to join in on the discussion today. And Kaz, the first thing I want to talk about for this now is we are officially in mock draft season. A lot of pundits and media types and content creators are talking about the Jets options at number 2. And we'll get into 16 in a little bit later. But I want to start with that number 2 pick. Now that we know that Dante Moore is not coming out, it's really limited in terms of the quarterback options for the Jets at 2. We know they need a quarterback no matter what. But I want to start off with, should they take a defensive player at 2, considering there are some highly touted players at the top of this draft class? We hear Bailey's name, Bain, Arvell, Reese. There's a lot of debate going on there. Before I get your opinion on the options there, I do want to play this clip from Jets GM Darren Muji that resurfaced this week when he discussed a player's traits versus measurables and how they evaluate a player.
One of the more important parts of the evaluation process is each player's measurables, being height, weight, speed, hand, arm, length, all those things. Each position has a threshold, kind of a cutoff line. If his speed's below this, he's probably not going to make it, or we're definitely have to downgrade him. Or if his size or length is below this, we're going to have to downgrade him. But with that being said, you don't want to weight it too much. And some of these kids have 3 years good body of work on film, and they're good football players. How much do we want to ding them because they're a tenth of a second slower than another guy? And that may be subjective, but it's always going to take a role and play a part in it and have its weight. How much weight that is, I think it depends by player position.
So look, for Gang Sounds Off, we hear that from Darren Muji. What are your thoughts, Kaz, about what Muji had said there when he was with the Denver Broncos? And do you think that carries over into how he's going to evaluate at number 2 who to pick?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good soundbite where you don't really say much. You say a lot, but you don't say much. He really didn't answer the question. If you pay attention to it, he says it basically says it comes down to each player, and as it should. You shouldn't be locked into size, speed, as that they're absolutely, you can't break those rules. And if you want to look for an example, if you're Darren Muji, you can look across the table at Aaron Glenn, right? He was the exception to the rule at cornerback at his size. There's no way. I can't remember what height Aaron Glenn is, but I think it's 5'9", 5'10", something like that.
Yeah.
That's below the threshold at cornerback. So, and he ended up having a very good NFL career. So I think, I get it. It's interesting to hear him talk about the draft, but he didn't really answer much with that answer. He just kind of said, yeah, you consider both. You consider the measurables, but you can't, make them absolutes.
Well, I think that goes into the part of the debate of Bailey versus Bain, right? If we take Arvell, Reese out of this discussion at 2, just for this part of the debate, using that clip, Kaz, the discussion right now, it feels like amongst Jets fans, is Bailey versus Bain. You have a ton of production coming out of Bailey. He looks like a true pass rusher, one of the leading nations in pressures, sacks. This is a guy who can get after the quarterback. And then you have a guy like Bain who just plays with relentless effort and energy, has a high motor, can play against the run really well, but his arms are really short compared to your standard edge rusher or edge player, I should say. And that has been dinging him in terms of evaluation if he's worth that pick at 2. So how do you sense that could potentially play if Muji pays attention to that?
Yeah, I think they're both good players, right? You watch them play. So I think it's going to come down to the tape and watching the tape and not arm size and 40 times and that kind of stuff. I think it's watching the tape and deciding who you like better. I remember hearing Melvin Ingram didn't have long enough arms back in the day, and they took Quinn Copeland's instead, right? We knew Melvin Ingram had a much better career than Quinn Copeland's. I heard this story years later. I didn't hear this at the time, but someone told me years later that works for the Jets that they were talking to a coach in 2014 and they didn't like Aaron Donald's arm length. So
What?
yeah, so it's like, it's the measurables get, you get tripped up on that stuff. And especially I feel like edge rusher, I get it for offensive tackle. Like we talked about this with Will Campbell a lot more last year. I don't know. I think you can judge the production edge rushing wise in college. So to me, these are two good players, and they're going to debate it. If it comes in, I think Reese is a good player too. Reese is more of a projection at edge rusher because he hasn't played there as much. But yeah, we got tons of stuff coming up with the combine and Senior Bowl next week, which I think Bain is going to be out. Is Bailey going to be there too?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
so
will.
he might be there too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you got the two of them. And so they're going to do, you'll see the interviews, and that part of the process is huge too, to see what they, how much they love football, as they love to say. And so we'll see that over the next 4 months.
Yeah, I'll say this about David Bailey. If you look at his measurables, right, 405-pound bench press, cause that's big time. I know you used to do that back in the day. I heard
Yeah.
there's a rumor going around, but 550-pound squat. He was clocked at over 22 miles an hour, heavier, 22.16 miles an hour. He was clocked at David Bailey, which, if you go on Next Gen Stats, that would be top 5 for any ball carrier during a play last season in the NFL. So David Bailey is a freak in a lot of ways. And the more and more I look at his tape, I cannot tell you how much in love I'm falling with him as a prospect. He's unbelievable. And the height is a little bit of a concern, and he's a little stocky, but he's got long arms. So he's got like a kind of a stocky build, but he's got the long arms. David Bailey, to me, I think when this whole process is said and done and he runs at the combine and they see the way he moves, I think that'll be your pick at 2. I know we're going to get into Arvell Reese. I don't know if you want me to get into him now.
No.
yeah.
It's interesting you say the measurables, like you like his measurables more than compared to a Bain, who's I would say way more stockier as a player. And
Definitely, yeah.
the
They
shorter-
both are, but
with
he's
the shorter arms, but he has a high motor and he plays relentless pursuit and loves football. It seems like from everything you see with him, just the passion he plays with, the energy he plays with, you see on the field. I guess there's this debate, Kaz, and I wonder what your thoughts are. If we're projecting a player right at number 2, you kind of want to make sure that you nail that pick at 2. There's so much pressure there. Like, it's got to be a guy who's going to give you immediate production. Like, hey, this is a guy we could start from day one. It feels like Bailey has the higher ceiling potentially because of the measurables you mentioned, Frankie, and he does have high production in college football, which is no debate about that. But Bain might be the safer pick just because he's going to bring that relentless motor every single day to the practice field. Do you think that weighs a ton into how they pick at number 2?
Yeah, I think when you're picking here, you want the lowest risk, right? That's always. I remember in 22 when there was debate about whether the Jets would take Sauce or whether they would take another player. I remember I projected Sauce to them because I felt like he was the most sure thing at number 4, right? He was the guy that you kind of knew what you were getting coming out of college. So I think when you're drafting in the top 5, you're lowering the risk. You don't want you do not want to blow one of these picks. So yeah, maybe somebody else has more upside, and we've seen that where guys get drafted. Micah Parsons, where he was drafted, or I mentioned Aaron Donald, where he was drafted, they weren't seen as maybe absolutes coming out. So I think that's where Arvell Reese comes into this too. It feels like he's the guy who everyone's really projecting the highest out of these 3 players and have been since early in the season. I feel like every list I've looked at has had him as the top non-quarterback or in the conversation with Jeremiah Love. I think some people have had him higher. So yeah, I think Reese is the one that's interesting to me.
Let me say this about Arvell Reese. There is a fallacy going on online, in my opinion, about Arvell Reese and what kind of player he actually is. He is not an edge rusher. He is an off-ball linebacker, and I can't state that enough. Not you, Kaz. I'm saying people are projecting Reese to be an edge player. He plays a little edge, but he plays outside linebacker, but he plays inside next to Sonny Styles. Very good against the run, right? As a linebacker. Jet fans are making a mistake here thinking about this, where they're telling themselves, we were bad against the run this year. We have this guy, Arvell Reese, that could play edge, but can also play Quincy's position in a way. So we kind of get all that in one. Remember, you're only taking the snap at one position. Are you an edge or are you an off ball? As an edge, Arvell Reese only had 7 sacks in 36 games at Ohio State. 6 of those were in his first year. Granted, he was only a special teamer, so I won't dock him for that. But 30 games, 7 sacks. Had a half a sack last year, 6.5 this year, which tied for second on the team. We're tied for third because there was 2 guys with 6.5, and then one guy had 11. So Arvell Reese, to me, he's a project defensive end / edge. Very strong, good at the point of attack. But I don't know if he's going to be a great run stopper if he is playing edge every snap. I would not draft a linebacker. I would not draft Isaiah Simmons or a better version of Isaiah Simmons, which I think Reese is, and he's phenomenal sideline to sideline, has some twitch, great tackler in space, got all the tools you're looking for a linebacker. Undersized a little bit. Don't think, though, if you put him at edge, don't think you're not going to have issues with him trying to hold up some of these big offensive tackles. David Bailey's stronger. David Bailey's got better pass rush moves by far. If you want an edge, it's David Bailey. If you want a finishing piece guy or somebody that is going to come in and you could put him everywhere, that's Arvell Reese. But I'm not looking at solving the Jets' run-stopping issues this year or next year. I'm looking at bringing in a guy that I know is going to be able to get you 12, 13, 14, maybe 15 sacks a season. David Bailey can do that. He has the upside. Arvell Reese, to me, doesn't, and I think we're making a big mistake if we consider him to be this can't-miss edge prospect, which people are projecting him to be. I just think it's wrong.
Wait, does Reese compare to Micah Parsons coming out of college? Because that was Micah played linebacker.
Yep. Great point. To me, he doesn't because their sack numbers are very similar. To me, he doesn't for one reason. Micah Parsons is a north and south kind of linebacker. He's not sideline to sideline. He doesn't really play.
He's great at chasing down quarterbacks east to west, man.
Yeah, but Reese is more of a linebacker. Parsons was more of an edge. Even when you were seeing him at Penn State, he was more downhill. He was more feisty.
Let me ask you a question here, and this is something to Kaz.
This is my opinion, by the way. Yeah. It's not like
So this is something for Kaz, too. It's about positional need, right? The Jets need an off-ball linebacker with Quincy Williams now being a free agent. Arvell Reese, theoretically, if you took him at 2, Kaz, and I would imagine this is what Glenn and his new defensive coordinator, which we'll touch on a little bit later in this episode, they're going to try and scheme him to be first and second down. Feels like you're going to play off-ball linebacker. Third down pass rushing situations, we can line you up anywhere on the defensive line to be your quote-unquote Micah Parsons. That could be an appetizing thought for Aaron Glenn. What do you think about that, Kaz?
Yeah, look, if you're taking someone number 2, they better get after the quarterback, right? You could, I guess you take Ray Lewis at inside linebacker at number 2, but there's not many others,
Luke
right?
Kuechly,
It's just not a position
Yeah.
that's going to have the impact that doesn't affect the quarterback enough. And so if you're taking the number 2, you better have a plan for him to get after the quarterback. So I don't know if that's edge just on third downs or if that's edge all the time. Like you're just going to convert him. Right, Frankie, why, I guess, because, I'll start getting into the draft stuff more. I go to the Senior Bowl next week if the snow allows me to.
Yeah.
But forget about Jets fans projecting this. Why are the Mel Kipers and the Matt Millers and those guys, Dane Brugler, why are they all have this guy rated very high, Reese? Why are they projecting him as an edge rusher?
Yeah, I'll say this. His traits, his speed, his agility, his strength, he's extremely strong for his size. I think they're projecting him to be an edge because of those traits that he has that sort of are off the charts in a lot of ways. He's a 4'5" guy. He is very strong for 240-ish pounds. Plays with a great base. When he has played edge, he's looked good. He's looked good. I won't say he's looked great, but he's looked good. I don't think the pass rush moves are there. I think he's someone that, as a project, he probably has the highest ceiling, maybe out of any player in this draft, because of all the traits that he gives you. And he's a phenomenal tackler.
And he played in a defense. He played in an NFL style defense under Matt Patricia.
Yeah. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing for his stock, though. I mean, people are saying what you're saying, but also you did have Matt Patricia. You played next to Sonny Styles, and you had Caleb Downs
Super
behind
winning
you.
defensive coach.
But do you think that might make him look a little better? I mean, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah. So, like, I don't know. That's kind of a yin or yang point there. I'm with you, though, for the most part. I'd rather you come from a system like that than not, because you know how to get things done and you're used to being successful. But, Kaz, I think sometimes these pundits also, to be honest, I think they swing and miss a bunch. I mean, I've heard points that they've made about players that I've disagreed with that, that ended up not being.
Yeah, they do, but I mean, it's just weird that everyone's projecting him that way, right? Like, I was wondering if there was an answer why everyone,
it's universally
like, it's not Jets fans going, oh, like they're hearing that from any draft stuff you listen to, is pretty much projecting him as an edge.
I'll say this though, him projected the last thing there.
Because I even reached out to Field Yates. He did his rankings a week ago or whatever, right? And so I looked at it. He did his top 25, I think, and then he did position by position. So I noticed he had Reese. I think he had Reese number 2, and then he didn't have him in position rankings. And so I messaged him. And I'm like, hey, I'm fascinated by this, like what position this guy plays. I'm like, you didn't have him. And he goes, oh, that was a mistake. He's like, he's the number 1 edge. So, like, yeah,
so he had him
that's
over
where
Bailey.
he listed him. He had him as the number 1 edge rusher.
Let me say one last thing here. If you look at Bailey, he has a higher pass rush win rate than basically any edge in football right now.
He was the number 1 edge player in college football.
He had 26 sacks his last 3 years. There is no question about it. If you're looking at a guy that's going to be able to get to the quarterback, it's Bailey over Reese. Reese, I'll say this. You know how many forced fumbles? And I hate using stats like that, but like, you're an edge. You force fumbles. It's kind of what you want to do.
Again, it's
Zero.
It's a limited role. Frank. This is where I listen to the pundits a little bit too.
Yeah.
And this is what they're all universally praising Reese because of his traits and because of his qualities. This is a guy who in limited reps as an edge did produce in those reps. So that's why I think, like Kaz is saying, if they project him to be a full-time edge, he could potentially be a Micah Parsons like. Now, I know I listened to Mel Kiper, and he said if I were to rank Micah Parsons, Abdul Carter, guys that were similar in this play style and way they were used in college football, like Arvell, Reese, he says I would have Reese 3 compared to those other 2. So he's a lesser of those 2 right now in terms of projections. But that's the thought, I think. And ultimately, Kaz, there's a lot of pressure on that number 2 pick to nail it. And I think this is just a fascinating discussion of, like, what position is Arvell Reese going to play? Do we like the ceiling of Bailey more than Bain? Or do we like the safety of Bain because we like his profile? We like how he's productive and he does well against the run and pass. So it really is an interesting discussion of what they're going to do at number 2.
Kaz, do you remember Deion Jordan? I know he had some outs.
Miami.
Yeah.
Miami took him. Miami jumped up to take him, right, at 3.
Yeah. He had some off the field issues, so that probably had something to do with him not panning out. But I never liked him also as a prospect because I want a guy that I know where they're going to play. To your point, if it's true what you said earlier, and that was a great point actually, if you can say on early downs he's going to be off ball and then on passing downs he'll rush. But who's done that really? I mean, Micah Parsons might be one.
Micah Parsons did his first couple of years in the NFL.
Yeah.
Then eventually
they found out. That's a tough task, man. I know. That's as hard as it can get for a defensive guy.
His first year, I remember, because I did film study with Rex Ryan when I was at Sunday Countdown with ESPN. We watched a lot of Micah Parsons play as a rookie. They put him as an off-ball linebacker a ton his first year. But then they saw the production when he was a pass rusher, not only as an edge, but up the middle. This guy's a demon, and he's getting after the quarterback. We got to make him a primary pass rusher. And that's what they did the next couple of years after that and evolved into being that. If you could tell me you could develop an Arvell Reese into that, that's a home run at number 2.
Yeah. I think it's easier said than done, though.
100%. It all depends a lot about the coaching that you get and the scheme that they're going to put you in.
Yeah, for sure.
The Jets history at number 2 has always been good too. So.
Man,
I was waiting
Lamb
for that.
Jones, Blair Thomas, and Zach Wilson.
Do you think that
and Arvell Reese? I'm joking.
Honestly, early on though, Kaz, like, do you get a sense that the Jets really do have a really good option at 2, no matter what, out of those 3 players? Like, you would support those 3 picks?
Yeah, right now I would. I mean, look, I who knows, Ryan, with the like projections, right? I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know what these guys are going to be in the NFL. It's hard, man. It's hard. Like, I've seen so many guys come in, and very few of them look like they hit the ground running in the NFL and look legit. And I joke about the number 2 pick, but Zach Wilson, there's a lot of revisionist history out there about Zach Wilson now and pre-draft stuff, and like everyone was on board with Zach Wilson at number 2 at that time. At that time, it wasn't like it was a thought like, oh, he's going to be terrible. I mean, there were some questions about who he played at BYU, but I don't think anyone thought it was going to be as bad as it was. So it's hard. It's a hard thing to project these college players into the NFL. I don't think this is as strong at number 2 as other years, Ryan. Like, I feel like there's been other years where if you felt really good if you were in the top 3 about who it is. I feel like there's more of a projection this year in this draft.
Yeah, there's no Abdul Carter there, too, for the Jets
this
year. And the other thing I'll say to wrap up the number 2 discussion here for a little bit, I get revisionist history, and I get scared when I think about off-ball linebackers from Ohio State or even linebackers from Ohio State and the Jets draft history with Vernon Golston and Darren Lee.
Big Vern?
Big Vern. Not been a good history when the Jets draft linebackers from Ohio State, point blank. Look.
Yeah. Like Utah, Vern's the classic example of a guy who didn't love football. And that's, I saw a press conference, when was it, on Tuesday, with this coach who invented football that they hired in East Rutherford. That everyone, and I kid, but they, and he was, what do you look for in a player? We look for guys who love football. And I'm like, oh God, like they all say that, and it's sometimes you get a guy and he does not love football, and Vernon did not love football.
No, he certainly did not. And Darren Lee, again, did not work out either for the Jets, picking in the first round.
Yeah. God, that was a terrible pick.
Another terrible pick. Mike McCagnon, thank you.
That's talking about a guy who didn't have a position.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Woof.
And then we talked about him playing all over the place, and then they never played him anywhere other than inside linebacker.
Because it's very hard to do.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
Look at Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons had some really good years.
Did blossom this year, though.
He did, but you got to get in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
I think this Jets defense is going to change so much over the next couple of years, depending on who the coordinator is and whatnot. And that guy might be gone at that point, where I just think, in my opinion, David Bailey, I look at him, and you can go to sleep at night knowing that guy is going to give you 12, 13 sacks a season. Just my opinion.
All right, I lied about part 2. Let's say they take David Bailey or Ruben Bain, Kaz. Would the Jets potentially look at trading a Jermaine Johnson or a Will McDonald if they ended up taking a pass rusher or 2?
I think they'd look at it, but I don't think they would just be like, let's give one away. I think you can live with 3 pass rushers, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
We've seen that plenty of teams have 3 pass rushers, and you can have a rotation there and you can be fine. So I don't think they'd be like committed to it. I do, if they draft a guy 2, and then Friday afternoon they're getting a ton of calls or something, or even that night they get calls. I think they'd listen and consider it. Like they were listening on Jermaine at the trade deadline. Will, they told everyone no. I heard that for sure. That when they got shut down, they asked for Will McDonald, but Jermaine, they were listening, and so yeah, I think it's a possibility, but you can't have enough edge rushers. So I think you'd ride it out with. Jermaine will be in his 5th year, right? His contract year. Yep. I think you might just ride it out with him unless you got blown away by a trade package.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. It's good to have as many pass rushers as you can. And I do wonder if Jermaine can have a bounce back year, another year removed from the Achilles injury. I know it's tough for a pass rusher because they need that get off, but I believe in the talent. This is a first round talent player. I think he could have a bounce back year, but also who's to say, Robert Saleh is now a head coach again in Tennessee. Maybe he wants to bring Jermaine in, or if the Atlanta Falcons with Jeff Ulbrich, they want to bring him in. Could be a possibility if they wanted to trade for a player like Jermaine Johnson to bring them back, because that's the guys that were there to draft him. And Aaron Glenn's trying to reshift this defense and reshift this defensive line into what he envisions is going to work for them on their defensive side of the ball.
Yep.
Let's not forget, though, there's another pick. The Jets have number 16. And this week, we got Mel Kiper's first mock draft post college football championship, where Fernando Mendoza had an incredible season, finished undefeated, brought Indiana their championship there. Incredible job that they did. But Mel, considering there's only one quarterback worthy taking at 1 and none at number 2 for the Jets, he decided to put Ty Simpson at number 16 for the Jets. Here's what Mel Kiper had in his first mock draft.
He's 23 years of age. His father's a coach. Nick Saban's there with him, advising him. So he had heard first round. You think about Ty Simpson. Like I said, he could have been top 5. He would have continued through. Offensive line let him down. Ryan Williams didn't have the year expected. He had no running game, okay? Ty Simpson obviously goes to a team that you say, can they screw it up? Can they affect? Hey, let him sit for a little bit. He's only has 15 starts. But again, put a little weight on that frame. This kid's so competitive. He won't let a play die. He fights till the bitter end a little too much. He'll figure that out. Ty Simpson, like I said, at this point at 16, we were talking top 5 back in October. I think would make sense for the New York Jets or the Steelers or the Rams late first round.
So, Kaz, Ty Simpson, interesting quarterback prospect. Not many starts with Alabama or in his college career. He's coming out, and many consider him the second best quarterback in this draft. I don't know, man. Do you think the Jets are in a spot where they can swing and take Ty Simpson, who seems like a developmental quarterback prospect, or is it just too rich of a pick there to take him at 16?
I feel like 16 is too rich right now. Maybe I'll feel differently in a few months. But I think I heard Mel, I think it was Mel or one of the guys on the panel said like, oh, well, if he doesn't work out, you can just draft one next year with the 3 first round picks. 16 is a little rich for me to miss on like that and go, okay, yeah, we'll just draft another quarterback next year. I know the Cardinals did it with Rosen and Kyler Murray. I'd feel a little better, if you're taking him at 44 or something like that. And then you go, okay, let's take a flyer on him, see if we get anything out of him. If it doesn't work out this year, then we take a quarterback next year. That makes sense to me. But 16, boy, I want somebody who's going to start for my team for the next 5 or 6 years. Still a first round pick, top 20 pick. So I feel like it's a little rich right now, Ryan. Maybe I'll feel differently in a few months, but right now it seems too high for me.
Yeah, the thing with Ty Simpson, too, is he had such a great first half of the season, and then when injuries started to kick in a bit, you saw the accuracy sort of go away. He would, like Mel just said on that clip, he didn't have much help with the run game. We'd spoken about that. The offensive line play was inconsistent. The thing with Ty Simpson, though, that intrigues me, when he's accurate and he's balling, he's accurate and he's really balling. Like he
makes really good decisions.
He does. He reminds me, and I always use these like comps, and I call everyone like the Temu version or whatever, Walmart, Temu, whatever. Temu, I can't pronounce anything. The Temu, Drew Brees. That's my little comp. Drew Brees was what? I think he was a second rounder. What do you go, 59th, I believe, to predict?
Yeah, I think he was like the first pick of the second round.
Okay.
Simpson, 33?
So I like what Kaz said with 44. I'm more of a 44 guy for Simpson. But listen, we need a quarterback. I'm always a fan of drafting a quarterback. I'm a little bit biased there. Huh?
We know.
No, I wanted to draft one.
Killing him for not taking one at day 3 last year.
Yeah, I wanted Riley Leonard, man. I wanted Will Howard. I wanted all them guys. But listen, I like Ty Simpson because he's smart. He comes from a football background. Yeah. Limited starts. When he's balling, he's balling. 16 is as high as Rich. But you know what? Based on the mock that Mel had, I'm okay more, and this sounds crazy, with Ty at 16 than I am with Arvell at 2, considering the situation. That quarterback room is young. There's nothing really in there, actually.
There's
so
nothing
it's not even
in
young.
there.
Yeah, it's
There.
bare.
That's the other part, Ryan, is we don't really know.
Right.
Yeah.
We kind of have to see what part 1 and 2 of the quarterback plan is. I feel like the draft is like part 3. Like, and do they make a trade? Do they sign a free agent? What does that quarterback room look like on April 20, whatever, whenever the draft is? Like, because I think that influences the decision as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with you guys. And I agree with you, Frankie, is that Ty Simpson really lit the world on fire for the first half of the college football season, and he caught my eye. And like you guys were saying, decision-making and the accuracy are things you really can't teach, in my opinion, to some of these quarterbacks, because it kind of innate in them. They're built into it, and like they have that ability of like fast processing, decision-making. I know 1, 2, 3, I got my read, I'm making my decision, and he delivers it on time and accurate throws. They are like, wow, okay, I could see that transferring over to the NFL at the next level. That to me are traits that I would look at if I were Tanner Angstrand and Aaron Glenn and going saying, you know what, maybe we take our swing at 16. We don't let him play at all this year, his rookie year. We bring in veterans like Kaz is saying. How do they address the quarterback position before the draft? Bring in a very good veteran that can start for you day one. Ty can sit there as the backup or even the third string, and there's no pressure on the kid to really show anything year one, but he's a developmental piece that maybe by week 14, 15, 16 next year, he could start 3 or 4 games for you. You get a good sample size, and if you don't like what you're seeing so far, if he doesn't look like he's fully invested in and he doesn't take those steps that you believe in, then you could take a swing at with one of those 3 first-round picks next year as well. So I think no matter what, though, and this is something I'll make a stance on. In those first 2 rounds, I feel like you have to take a quarterback here and give this team a chance to have a lottery pick. Because I think if you go past the first 2 rounds, you really aren't like, I don't believe you're really investing in the quarterback position and giving an actual chance for someone to develop into something. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
I think it also matters,
I think you're right.
too, and Kaz, I don't know if you agree with this. I think it also matters who's available at 16. If Sonny Styles is off the board, if Mekhi Lemon's off the board.
I love Mekhi Lemon.
So do I. But if there's a possibility both of those guys are off the board,
Yeah.
you drafted, let's say, an edge. Listen, it's not, I think, draft Ty Simpson at 16, assuming it doesn't affect how they're looking at the position in the following draft. We have 3 first-rounders. If it doesn't really affect their thought there and they're kind of taking a shot on the kid, I'd rather that than a defensive tackle there, in my opinion. I mean, that's just me.
I don't know, Frankie. You think you can draft someone at 16 and just go, next year we'll draft someone again? Like,
I don't know. Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
That seems like bad roster construction to me. And they have a million needs. A million needs, especially on defense right now. Like, I feel like you better get one of those needs filled with number 16. And if you're using it on a flyer on a quarterback, you're not filling one of those needs. I get Mekhi Lemon is the guy that everyone likes, but there's a lot that I've heard there's a lot of receivers in this draft. People like a lot of different receivers. So can you take a receiver at 16 and, fill that hole?
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. It's just we're so starved, man, for that position. That it's just
Yeah,
I know
it's tantalizing if Ty Simpson turns into, I'll use your comp, Drew Brees, you're gonna be stoked. You're gonna be like, holy crap. Like the Jets finally nailed the pick for a quarterback.
Yeah, but remember, Drew Brees was not Drew Brees for
No, totally. I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Took him like 3 years. I can remember when Mark Sanchez was here, there was the thought of like, oh, Drew Brees didn't really click for Drew Brees till his 3rd year, so Sanchez could click in his 3rd year, and like, I remember that was a storyline at that time.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Did he have any carryover, Aaron Glenn, with Drew Brees with the Saints when he was the DB's coach with Sean Payton?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're connecting some dots.
He actually played with Drew Brees for a year. I think he was on the Saints for a year, right? He played with them, and then he was. When he was the DB's coach. When he was the DB's coach, there, Drew Brees was the quarterback.
Played and coached with him.
You're like like that.
I don't think Drew Brees is going to come out of retirement though. Right?
Listen, if Philip Rivers can do it, I guess
not
anyone
this week.
can, right? Not this week.
If not this week for the Broncos, I don't think he's ever doing it.
Well, didn't the Dolphins say that his medicals didn't check out when Saban was there, and they just let him right out?
Yeah, it was
the
a
door,
Saban
right?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he really had a bad shoulder injury at the end of
he did.
his time in San Diego.
Yeah.
Bottom line, though, I in my opinion, this is just me. It's early in the process, and we'll see how they address this in the offseason with free agency and trades. If not, I wouldn't be upset if they took Ty Simpson at 16. To be honest with you, like I know there's needs. It wouldn't upset me. Like
well, you liked him.
I am a fan of
He
him.
was your top quarterback early in the season.
He was. Like,
It's not a question of you're upset now, Ryan. Are you going to be upset in a year from now if they take him at 16?
No, because I don't.
He doesn't pan out.
I know, but here's my thing. Again, I don't think Simpson should stop you from if you don't believe in him, like, or I guess not believe in him, but like if you're not seeing immediate results, it's not going to stop me from taking another quarterback next year. And again,
Right.
we don't know, but it's supposed to be a loaded quarterback class next year. But
Supposed to be.
Supposed to be. You never know with these things.
This is one thought I've had is like thinking about taking a quarterback in the first 2 rounds. And I mean, we're really bringing up I'm really picking at some old scabs here for you guys. How amazing is it that Christian Hackenberg never played a snap?
Oh,
We didn't
Second
want
round
him.
pick.
Not a
Nobody
snap.
wanted him. Nobody
Not a
wanted to
snap.
draft him.
Well, Mike McCagnon won.
I'm saying Jets fans, like we were all shocked when they took Hackenberg.
I'll be honest. I wasn't that pissed at the pick. I kind of like I love quarterbacks. I love shot in the darks. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't hate the pick. What are you looking at me? Hey, I'm being honest. Listen. I'm just being honest about. Listen, it's amazing he didn't take a snap, but again,
how are you gonna get on me last week about the Mel Kiper comment? But you loved Christian Hackenberg.
I don't know, man. I mean, listen, I have weird opinions about quarterbacks. You guys know how I am with quarterbacks. I don't know if you know, but
Well,
I gave Bowles a lot of crap about not playing Hackenberg. I remember that was his second year. I want to say his second year, and the last game of the year, people were talking in New England, like, is he going to play? Like, and he didn't play him. And I gave Bowles a lot of crap. We all did. And I want to say, like, the following year, Hackenberg went into that league. It was like the AAF, I think it was, or something.
oh yeah.
And he got benched. And he got benched at halftime of his first game.
What
And
went
so
wrong with
we were
that
in-
guy, Kaz? Sorry.
We were at the combine like a week later, and all of a sudden I just hear, "Hey guys, you still think I should have played Hackenberg?" And Todd is yelling down the hallway in Indianapolis.
Oh,
Yeah, he
that's
got the
great.
crap beat out of him at Penn State, Frankie. After Bill O'Brien left, they had no line. I think he was just damaged goods after that.
Was he someone that quote unquote didn't love football?
No, I think he loved football. I do.
Okay.
I just wasn't happening. And then they had like no plan for him. Like to your point, Ryan, the coaches didn't want him, and McCagnon like shoved him down the throat. So like Changaley had no use for him that first year, and yeah, like they just had no. And remember they had 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They had Fitz and Petty and Gino, and they just had no developmental plan for him at all. I don't know if it would have worked anyway. He missed. He was a guy. You talk about like the short throws. He could not make a short throw. Like screen pass. It was rough.
yeah. Thanks again, Charlie Casserly, and giving us Mike McCagnon. Look, I think I do want to ask you, just because you brought up Penn State quarterbacks. Drew Aller, guy who was highly touted 2 years ago, has a rough year, gets hurt, has apparently an incredible arm, has the
Speaking of
traits.
someone who can't throw screen passes.
Another guy who can't probably throw a screen pass for his life dependent on it. Kaz, what are your thoughts on Drew Aller? Because I know you've paid attention to Penn State and how they've played in recent years.
I really don't. I went to Penn State, but I really don't watch Penn State football. Yeah, I don't. So I know a little bit. My niece actually goes to Penn State and knows him a little bit. So I've heard things from her, but I haven't seen much of him. I watched them play. Watched them play Oregon.
Oregon, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that game, and yeah, he's never really blown me away. He hasn't been that impressive to me. So if it's a day 3 flyer late in the draft, I guess that's where you take him.
Is he at the Senior Bowl?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think I saw his name,
I
Ryan.
don't think he's
I think
out there.
Nussmeier's going to be there.
Nussmeier I like a lot.
He's
I
an
like him.
interesting
Yeah.
prospect.
Another kid who's a son of a coach. So, born in a football family. It's very
him and Ty
interesting.
Simpson have a lot of similarities.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like I wouldn't mind
Ty's got a
one of
better
those
arm,
guys.
though.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, now let's flip it over to the since Kaz, you brought up they really need to rebuild this defense. The big aspect is going to be who's going to be the defensive coordinator for the Jets. The Jets decided to do a Friday news dump and say, here are all these defensive coordinators we did first-round interviews with. The headliners, obviously, are Wink Martindale and Jim Leonard. We know who Jets fans are all rooting for, including myself, Jim Leonard. We pray that he gets the job because I just think it would do, one, a good thing for the PR of this team, considering the Jets fans are so down on this team right now and where this future is for this franchise. I know Jim Leonard is highly unlikely to get this job just because he's a highly touted candidate for other defensive coordinator jobs. And why would you take the Jets job? But what are your thoughts, Kaz, on who they're interviewing right now? And could there be early favorites to get this head defensive coordinator job?
Yeah, I mean, the names that stuck out, obviously Wink and Leonard jumped out. Dallas just hired a defensive coordinator this afternoon, so he was up for that job. So they hired somebody else. They hired the guy from the Eagles. Green Bay is the one to me to watch with Jim Leonard. Like, he's a Wisconsin guy. I think they almost hired him once before. I read that they were talking to him, and he was kind of content to stay in college at that point at Wisconsin, so he didn't go. So that to me would be one to watch there. And remember too, like, there's going to be all these defensive coordinator jobs with all these head coaches being hired. So now there's 6 head coach openings still open. I imagine some of those are going to be filled over the weekend. So then there's going to be a ton of jobs open, and Leonard will be able to do more interviews and things. If Denver loses on Sunday, if they continue on, he's not able to do anything after the Super Bowl, which could help the Jets if they want to wait because other teams might move quickly. Wink's the most experienced guy on the list. I have major questions of whether Wink and Aaron Glenn can work well together. I know Wink a little bit, but obviously know what happened with the Giants. So that would be the question to me. If you remember, Aaron Glenn was talking about like synergy and compatibility and things at the end of the season ending press conference. Like, doesn't feel like that would be the greatest marriage to me in the world. The guy, to me, if I had to handicap this, I would pick Jim O'Neill as my favorite. Jim O'Neill was an assistant with the Jets under Rex. He was the assistant DBs coach. He really was a Mike Patton guy more than a Rex guy. He was kind of Patton's right-hand man and followed Patton to Buffalo and then followed him to Cleveland. He was the Cleveland defensive coordinator when Mike Patton was the head coach there, and his assistant defensive backs coach was Aaron Glenn. So they worked together there. He went on to San Francisco, was the defensive coordinator under Chip Kelly that year that Chip Kelly was there. Didn't go very well. He's bounced around, and he was most recently with the Lions as the safeties coach, and he spent a year, I think, under Aaron Glenn there, and then he's still there now. So I don't know, just looking at like connective tissue, I could see, the relationship working. He knows Aaron Glenn's defense from the time in Detroit. They probably know each other pretty well from the time in Cleveland. He knows the Jets organization a little bit, so I'm sure there's some people there that remember him from his time here. So I don't know, that name jumped out to me of the other guys on the list.
Kaz, do you think Aaron Glenn is going to get more hands-on with this defense in 2026? Or
I think he should. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't if you're him. Like,
Yeah.
your job's on the line. Like, do you want to sit back and let somebody else run the defense? I think he has to be more hands-on. I get what he wanted to do and be the CEO and kind of take the view from 50,000 feet, but I think he's probably realizes he needs to be more hands-on.
One name that did stand out to me, Kaz, on the list that they announced was Ephraim Banda. Coached under Flores, who I have high respect for as a defensive coordinator, and I wonder if that's a name that potentially the Jets could really give a good look at there for the defensive coordinator job.
The Band is under Schwartz, right? He's in Cleveland.
Sorry, he's under Schwartz. That's right. Sorry,
you're talking about Durante Jones.
Sorry, you're right. Durante Jones. Sorry, Durante Jones. I'm looking under Flores.
And I like.
Yeah, both of those guys jumped out.
Yeah, I think both those guys could be interesting guys to bring over, just because I know it's like you can't really give them full credit for where they're coming from defensively, but they're part of that system, and I just want a successful system brought over here. And considering it seems like the Jets are going to infuse this defense with a lot of talent, hopefully with high picks and free agent signings, and reshaping this defense the way they want, you'd want a guy like that who's coming in, getting his first shot as a defensive coordinator, hopefully, and can build something here. Am I wrong, though, Kaz, in just saying this? I really don't want to see Chris Harris get the job. Like, the Jets should move as far away as
That's
possible.
not nice.
I know it's not nice, but like,
Just kidding.
again, if I'm playing the PR game, and I know that the coaches don't give a flying crap about PR game,
Yeah.
but if I'm playing the PR game, I'd want to stay as far away as possible from anyone on that staff on the defensive side
Yeah.
that was
I
responsible
don't think
for
you have to
0
worry.
interceptions and one of the worst defenses ever in NFL history.
I don't think you have to worry about it. I think if they wanted to name Chris Harris the defense coordinator, they could have done that at any point. You know what I mean? They could have just promoted him to the job. So, and yeah, I agree with you. You can't, after this year, after no interceptions, after 503 points, and the way it looked the last few weeks of the season when he was the coordinator, and that's obviously not all his fault. The players were, we've talked about the roster was not in good shape at that point. But yeah, you can't go, oh, I really liked what I saw there at the end of the season. Let's promote him to defensive coordinator. So I don't think that's going to happen, guys.
I'll say this about Ephraim Banda that I do like for the Jets. Safeties guy. So safeties coach knows that
Caleb
position.
Downs at 2?
Oh, no, I'm not going that far. 16 though, yes. Then we're
He's
talking.
not making 16.
He's not making it to 16.
He's not
You
making
never know,
16.
man. Life is crazy. I mean, the draft is crazy. But he's probably not. But listen, there's a lot of good offensive linemen too in this draft. So you never know. There's gonna be a lot of edge offensive linemen, wide receivers.
Ryan, I would think about Downs at 2. I just love him.
Really?
I knew you were going to go there, and I didn't want to go there, but
Ah.
I kind of want to get your
I
thoughts
love
on
him when I
it.
watch him.
Dude,
He's incredible.
He's a playmaker.
He's great.
I know. And we get all hung up on this position stuff, and I get it. But I don't know.
Jets
he feels
don't
like
have a
such an
safety.
impact player to me.
Yeah, they don't have
Kaz,
any
what-
safeties.
Yeah.
What if we move up? What if we package 16 and 33? We move up 3 or 4 picks. I would rather take a receiver. I take the BPA or whatever a receiver between.
Yeah.
I have Tyson Tate like 1A, 1B, and then Lemon. But I think the Jets should be in the market to do something like that. But maybe they can move up a few spots. I wouldn't do it.
Maybe.
For a
I just
safety.
love him. When I watch him, he's just so he makes such an impact.
He is.
You
In
know,
the-
both
you could-
Alabama and Ohio State.
Yeah, you could put him in the box. You could put him back at free safety. He can do it all. He's a fun player to watch. And yeah, there's such a bad stigma to drafting a safety at number 2 overall just because
Yeah, well, the last one's Jamal, right?
6.
The last top 10 safeties, Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
You know, Malachi Moore put together a pretty good season when it was all said and done. I think we overlooked him a little bit, so I think we have something there. I don't know what his upside was, but he had over 100 tackles this year. He played well. He didn't miss a lot of tackles. Something to work with there.
Is this defensive coordinator job desirable at all? Or is this kind of like, you know what, you kind of have to take what you got, and it's desirable because it's one of 32. It's one of those jobs, you know, where you don't get many shots at being a coordinator in the NFL, so you're going to take it. But if you've got options, you're not coming here. And you know, I saw, was it Connor reported that 2 high-profile guys, like, yeah, if you're high profile, why would you like? You know, just logically think about it. Like, you've got 10, there's 10 coaches who are just getting hired who have a blank slate that you think they're at least going to have 3 years of job security. That's what, you know, that's kind of what you think going in. Maybe like, you know, John Harbaugh probably has more job security. And so if you're going to be his DC, and then the other job, Packers job, like, yeah, that looks pretty good. Matt LaFleur's got a nice contract extension. They got Micah Parsons. They're always a good team. You know, the Cowboys are in better shape than the Jets right now. And then, so, yeah, Aaron Glenn, we talked about it. He's going into the season. He needs to win games. And when you look at the personnel they have, I mean, who's their best defensive football player right now? It's got to be Jamie and Sherwood.
Yeah, I
Right?
would agree with that. Or Will McDonald.
Or Will McDonald?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're talking about talent, sure, McDonald. But
But that's not that exciting,
No.
right? Like, if you're sitting there going, okay, all right, think of all the things I can do with Sherwood. Like,
But-
that's probably not the case. So yeah, it's not a great job. I don't
It's
see how
not.
you can spin this into a great job.
the
but,
security's
said,
one part.
Yeah, the security's one part. I mean, but I think, you know, these jobs are hard to get, so they'll be able to get someone, and maybe they'll get lucky.
Because if
Go ahead.
but quickly, if you come in here, guys, and you make a name for yourself, and we get an interception, Man, we're going to put up a statue for you as a DC. This will propel your career if you come here. I mean, you just need to get one interception, and you did better than last year. And you need 5 turnovers. That's it. You could get that in 2 games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like.
I covered Patriots Texans on Sunday. And it was like
3 quarters.
I saw the Patriots get like 2 interceptions in like the span of 5 minutes. I was like, oh my God. And then more turnovers than the Jets had all season. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off.
No. I was going to say, what you could sell to the defensive coordinators, you get to have a heavy influence in the pick at number 2.
That's another thing. That's pretty interesting. Yeah. I mean, if a defensive coordinator does love a Ruben Bain, David Bailey, Arvell, Reese, Caleb Downs, maybe they say, you know what? I want that guy. I'm going to, showcase to everyone what this defense is, buy in a little bit to what we're doing.
Let me get a little close here. Jaime, Woody, Darren, Aaron. Hire Jim Leonard. Give us Jets fans something positive to look at. We have nothing right now. It's bleak. Dante Moore went back to college. We don't have a quarterback option at 2. We're debating edge rushers that aren't sure things. We're debating if the Jets should take a project at number 16 at quarterback. If you truly want to give us something positive to talk about, bring back a guy like Jim Leonard, who we liked when he played here. He has connections to Darren Muji. He has connections to Aaron Glenn. It'd give you a positive in what has been a very negative 12 months. That's my pitch.
Great. $5 million. Make me the highest paid DC in football.
Give it to him.
Deal.
Why? I got this one for you guys. Why so much hatred for Charles London?
Oh, you want to know why?
It's a punching bag.
Well, yeah, punching bag, 1. 2, quarterback development was not there at all this year. Or production.
But who did you want him to develop?
I also would ask, who has he developed in his career?
Okay, but if we're going off last year, Justin Fields is Justin Fields. He played exactly who he thought he was going to be.
Geno Smith is the only guy he maybe developed.
I don't think we thought Brady Cook was going to be. It's just weird to me. It's just so much passion about wanting this guy to be fired. We don't really know what he does. We don't even know if he's a good coach.
We don't, but he's also made his career as a running back coach. I
get it. But people move around. People do different stuff. The offensive line coach did a good job, and he was a tight ends coach. He moved.
Let's go a spade on this, guys. People want Jim Leonard. Let's get real about this. Does anyone have any idea what kind of defense Jim Leonard's going to run here and what kind of scheme? No one has a damn clue. It's all
who he is.
Yeah, he's a former Jet.
They liked him as a player.
Yeah, I mean, so I get it. I get it, but we look at him, you look at his history, you see where he's from, and you're kind of making us. Nobody really knows. Let's not kid ourselves. You could do it better, I think, with OCs if they have been play callers. You can go in and look, but. This guy, you don't know.
The evaluation of assistant coaches is an interesting world.
Yeah, it's people get so passionate about it too. I don't know. Sorry, I kind of rained on your little parade.
You just ruined his speech. You just ruined his dear Woody speech.
He's not listening. It's okay. That's a show.
Some of them listen to the Gangs All Here podcasts.
I know they do.
I've not heard from Woody, but other people high up the food chain do listen.
Oh boy.
I've questioned their sanity sometimes, but they do listen.
Jaime, if you're listening, please go get Jim Leonard. All right, that's the Gangs All Here podcast, guys. We'll catch you all next week, Kaz. Hopefully you have safe travels down there to the Senior Bowl. I know that it's been getting a little nutty here in the Northeast and the East Coast for where that's happening, but we appreciate you always for hopping on here. This is just the beginning of draft season. There's going to be a lot of talk in the future. Hopefully we'll get to talk to you soon about who the Jets do hire as a defensive coordinator, and then we'll see how it goes with the Senior Bowl. As always, man, hit that like, hit that subscribe button on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. For Frankie, for Ryan, for Kaz, we'll catch you next time, Jets fans.